Johnson, and I'm a clinician and therapist at Johnson Psychology Firm. Um, and your name is, I'm sorry.
My name is Rachel.
Good to meet you, Rachel. Um, Great to have you here today. I'm glad you came in. Um, Looking over just your original, I guess, files and your self-reported behavior and emotions. Um, you said you were having trouble with your relationship with your mother.
Yes.
You said.
Hmm.
You talk a little more about that.
Yeah. Over the years, I just feel like she doesn't get me. Like, I feel like she doesn't understand me. I feel like we've been having a lot of issues communicating. Our relationship has gotten a little bit better since I've moved away to college, but definitely when I was in high school, I just was always up in my room. I felt like we just were never on the same page. I feel like she yelled at me for stupid stuff that I wasn't even doing. Like, sometimes I wouldn't complete my homework and she would make a big deal about it. And then, I would get mad and I just would always yell at her. And so I just felt like we were on opposite sides of the spectrum. And I got really mad because my dad would always support her and I never felt like I was supported in my family. And so that frankly just made me really angry and upset. And so it's gotten a little bit better, but I still have a lot of resentment towards her.
Mm-hmm. Um, do you think that part of that may have been self-fulfilling in the sense that you may have isolated yourself in order to make yourself think that she's trying to isolate you or isolating herself in order to keep the relationship bad? In the sense, you know, understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, a
Where it
little
could be
bit.
both sides,
Mm-hmm.
not just her, but also you in the sense where you're
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I feel like I was isolating myself because I don't know, maybe I was trying to prove to myself that I'm better than her and I'm trying to be a better person and the bigger person and maybe I just felt like I just wasn't going to be very productive if I stayed in that situation. So I feel like I isolated myself for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a lot of anger. I was just like constantly angry. It was just all the time. Just this constant state of anger and frustration.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel that talking about this, for example, this anger helps? Just talking about
Oh,
it with
yeah.
anybody or even me?
Yeah.
Okay. You're talking about isolation from your parents, or especially in this case, your mother.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do you? Is this kind of a theme in the rest of your life? Do you, when you are especially upset or angry,
Yeah.
do you isolate yourself?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Do you see how this could kind of tie in from your um, where your relationship with your mother and you isolated yourself because of that relationship?
Yeah.
Um, could you find maybe with your roommates? Um, can you find an example where that may be applicable?
Yeah, so with my roommate, I actually just got into a fight with her because she was having a male guest stay over and I was getting really sick and I got really upset and mad and I went in my room and I stayed in my room for the majority of the week, except to leave for class and stuff like that. And I just feel like it's the exact same thing. Like she doesn't understand me, she doesn't get me. Like I was trying to be respectful and say, hey, I don't like this male guest staying over, but um, I just felt like she was not understanding me, so I isolated myself and I stayed in my room for the majority of that week.
Mm-hmm. Um, and that did that help?
No, not at
You
all.
okay? Did you feel like that it got worse or stayed the same or got better?
I think it largely stayed the same. I think that like I don't take the advantage and opportunity to go out and do things when I'm upset. I usually just kind of isolate myself and stay by myself when I'm upset or feeling frustrated.
Mm-hmm. Um, it's good that you came out and said right away about your or in your original pre-evaluation of your experiences with your relationship with your mother. Usually, my patients come in and with the psychodynamic approach, they tell me exactly what's going on in their head right now. And usually, what that is problems with um, their boyfriend or girlfriend or friend or
Mm-hmm.
just anxiety in in general. Um, and usually with the psychodynamic approach, it's all about past experiences, past relationships, um, and the what seems to be conscious, where you're thinking about what's happening right now. It's really you're unconscious about what's happened to you in the past. But you came out and said right away your past, which is your, well, obviously you have a relationship with your mother now, but it's all about, you know, back home and, you know, your relationship with her when you were younger. So that's the first step that we already identified, that your habit to isolate yourself doesn't work for you, in the sense that it stays the same, and
Mm-hmm.
all you get to do is stay in your own head and kind of wallow in this, um, anxiety, anger, sadness, hurt. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um, and have you had any, as far as isolation with your friends, have you had any run-ins with them where you decided to talk to them, or to kind of cure this, or has isolating yourself been such a habit to the point where you don't do anything else besides?
Yeah, isolating myself has kind of become a habit, and I guess it's kind of kicking me in the butt because I don't have a lot of female friends. I don't have like a lot of core core friends that I can talk to about things. Because I just feel like I naturally just go to this isolation mechanism that I have, and so that's kind of screwing me over because I just feel like I don't I don't have a lot of people that I can rely on, to talk to. And so I just, that's kind of been a common theme that's been throughout my life. And
Yeah.
it largely started with my relationship with my mom, and then now it's kind of going into other areas of my life. For example, I just, got out of a relationship with a guy that I really loved, and still very angry with him about that relationship ending. I don't think that he gave me a fair chance in the relationship, and I'm really hurt about that. And so for the first week of breaking up, I largely isolated myself, and I didn't want to see him. I didn't reach out to a lot of people, so I just, kind of what you were saying, wallowed in my emotions, and
Mm-hmm.
that obviously did not help me. But I just don't know how to get out of that pattern. I don't know how to think differently about those types of things.
Yeah. In what you just said, I kind of identified a catastrophizing cycle where it's like, um, and by catastrophize I mean, no matter how you think of it, it's going to be bad for you in your own mind. Um, Using your, ex boyfriend as an example, um, you probably having were you having problems with him before you
Mm-hmm.
broke up? Okay. When you were having problems with him, did you isolate yourself from the problems? Did you, or did like, if you had to choose, did you fight it or did you kind of flight from the problems?
Um, I think it depended on the problem. I
Okay.
think we argued a lot about stupid issues that didn't really matter, but then he would do more of the isolating and I would do more of the trying to fight and argue with him until he'd like shut down.
Yeah. Um, so what that can be, especially with the isolation, is you isolate, and then from there, um, you catastrophize the situation because you're all in your own head. And as you've identified, there's no progress made unless you consciously go towards the progress.
Mm-hmm.
And when you isolate, it sounds like you isolate your mind as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's only in one place where it's negative, negative, negative.
Mm-hmm.
So when you isolate, you make the problem bad, and then you isolate. So in this case, when your boyfriend, the problem doesn't get any better because you don't talk to him. So you isolate it because it's not getting any better, and then it gets worse. And then it's just a never-ending cycle where you isolate because it's bad, and then it gets worse because you isolated. Um, and that's, would you say that's a pattern internally and externally, in the sense where it gets worse in your mind and also with other people?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I say that because, um, as you just said, which I didn't know before, is that you have it's what sounds like a small group or no group of friends.
Yeah.
Um, would you say that's, I guess, applicable to the isolation part?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so I guess if you could put it into a vision of yourself, how about you envision yourself? What's the most common problem you have with where you isolate recently?
That's a good question. Um, I would say if people don't, I have a really strong issue with accepting people who disagree with me. And so if they don't make the effort to understand my point of view, then I get pretty frustrated and I isolate myself.
Hmm. Okay. Um, is that with your friends, or with your roommates, or
It's with everyone, yeah.
okay? So let's say it's with your roommate, whoever they are.
Okay.
Um, and instead of, let's say you're talking about uh, whatever it is you like. Let's say you're talking about maybe you're a dog person, she's a cat person, and you're
Okay.
talking about how great a dog is, and she's saying no, cats are they're more fun, they're more to themselves, they understand life better, or whatever. I've heard all the crazy arguments, um, and it gets heated, and you're upset because she doesn't seem like doesn't give a crap about what you have to say. Um, Now this is where this isolation comes in, where you if you isolate yourself, she probably feels the same that you feel her about her,
Mm-hmm.
and then the cycle starts again. So if you were to say, are you a dog person?
Yes.
Okay, so let's say she's a cat person, and she doesn't care about dogs, since they're stupid, and uh, you get more of an idea of why she likes cats so much. You delve into why. Maybe you can get to a point where you actually like want a cat. Maybe she can get to a point where she actually wants a dog. And this is where you can correct that type of thinking where it's from catastrophizing to very positive. If you can put yourself in that vision where I'd want you to focus on not whatever it is you do, don't isolate. Stay physically with her.
Okay.
If you could, can you put that in your head
Yeah.
about a certain um, disagreement? How does that feel compared to, um, and you think about it like the day after, like the environment in your head and the day after? What does that look like as opposed to isolating yourself?
I think it would help the situation a lot better because I think that I wouldn't just leave the situation and flee right away. Um, I think it would give me some time to actually think about what I want to say instead
Mm-hmm.
of just back up from the problem and just forget about it and try to repress all the things that I was feeling. Um, I think that it's hard because I've been stuck in a pattern of isolation, but I think that um, what you're saying will really benefit me in the future, and I think that that will really help me to solve problems and issues that I have in different contexts and situations. Um, but I think that overall the situation would be much more positive than if I were to just isolate myself, because then the problem just kind of stays in this environment before you actually try to solve it.
Yeah.
So I understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. And you said that you have a hard time with people that disagree with you.
Mm-hmm.
But you said that you have very strong opinions about
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. Yep.
Would you say that your mother has very strong opinions about things too?
Yeah. She's like an exact replica of me.
Yeah. Um, and already you can probably see where I'm going with this, where that's where it comes from,
Mm-hmm.
is genetically your mom is very strong-willed and probably overall a very, very strong woman,
Mm-hmm.
and it's carried over to you, and it's so strong it's like two boulders crashing into each other, um, and sometimes you may perceive yourself as, um, maybe I'm just not good socially. I'm not getting it. People don't like me because of this, and this. In that sense, do you think that? And I want you to think about the analogy that I made with the two boulders crashing. Would Does it make sense that maybe your roommate is mad at you because you come in like a boulder,
Yeah.
like your mother does as well?
Yeah. Yep. That makes total sense. Sometimes I think that I come in too strong and I don't let the other person talk, and obviously that would cause some tension and some issues to arise. But I resolve the problem by isolating myself. So obviously that does nothing for me. So yeah, I can understand with the analogy how coming in very strong could create some tension with other people that I'm talking to.
Exactly. Um, and do you think that also, I mean, obviously it comes from your mother, it's in your genes, that you're also very strong-willed as well as kind of strong-walled because you feel like your mother's coming at you so hard with a bunch of disagreements that you obviously had,
Mm-hmm.
and that you come right back at her with what you already have genetically, plus another thing where it's like I'm not gonna be messed with.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that could be kind of a double strength.
Yeah.
Um, so let's do another vision. Okay.
Okay.
So back to disagreement with roommate. Let's go cats and dogs again.
Okay.
So go back to where she likes cats, you like dogs, and um, just as strong as you come forward about dogs, okay, I want you, as I talk about cats to you, to just as strongly understand and empathize why I like cats so much.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, cats, I just can't get over them. They're super cuddly. They're soft. Their faces are really cute. Um, I honestly don't know how you can't like one. They are very smart. They're very agile. They can get up on any high surface that they want. Um, they're very loyal, um, and they're very good looking animals. And uh, they won't leave your side, and they will consistently be all those things for as long as you own them. So I don't understand how you couldn't really like them. You know?
Well, I think that you have very good points, but I also think that dogs are better just because I think that they're more of companion animals. And I think that they really help make your day better because they greet you at the door. And sometimes cats don't do that. And I think that cats are really boring, frankly. I think cats don't do anything. I think you can take your dog out for a walk. You can bathe your dog. You can feed them. I just feel like you can do more things with dogs and they're more of a companion animal to people. I also think that dogs have a better capacity to help other people, and I'm really passionate about helping others. And so, service dogs help people with epilepsy or people who have emotional problems or people who can't live on their own. I service dogs that work in the police academy. I just feel like they're just better animals. But I can understand how you think the way that you do about cats.
Good. You did a good job of pause. Going back to regular client clinician rapport. Okay. You did a good job of acknowledging why I like cats. You did so in a very strong, boulder like way, um, in the sense where it essentially was not what I had asked you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound right to you?
Yeah.
Where your tone, and this is one of those things where it's kind of the intangibles of human interaction, where it's the way you say it, um, where it was essentially like, I understand why you like cats, but listen up, like F you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you came back and was like, okay, yeah, and also I understand why I like cats.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the strength of your words are, and I'm talking about you,
Yeah.
are stronger than I'd say about 80% of the people that I've talked to in this um, firm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And that is why I would highly encourage you to be just as strong empathetically with them. Do you understand what I mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
What do I mean by that?
Um, well, I kind of talked to you about how like I isolate myself and I kind of um just express my point, and then I don't give the other person a chance to really talk about why they feel the way they do, and then I just leave. And so I think what you mean by that is just by staying in the moment and by really trying to express an empathy towards people that hopefully they'll perceive as me trying to understand them better so that my relationships, especially with my friends and my mom, can improve.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Um, it sounds like you understand it, of how, and it may be that you perceive yourself as people not liking you, um, because of uh, this strong voice that you have that comes off obviously unconsciously,
Mm-hmm.
which I hope now is conscious for you,
Mm-hmm.
that it is so strong. And that strong voice is very attractive to people as well. So a lot of people may talk to you because they hear your voice,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to be a part of it, a part of what you're talking about. And you come on so strong, and they're scared of it. Um, it's a great thing to have, but with a lot of power comes a lot of responsibility. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so besides your relationship with your mother and the boulder like and isolating habits, is there anything else that um, you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, and I don't know, this is kind of a separate issue, but
Okay.
I'm experiencing a lot of anxiety with my academics because I feel like I just have so much stuff to do, and it's just like I don't know. I guess unconsciously I think that uh, like I need to be the best and I need to be the best person and perform at the top of my class. But I know realistically speaking that I'll be okay if I don't perform at the top and if I'm not the best. But I just wanted some advice on like how to understand that like just because I don't perform at the top of my class doesn't mean I'm a bad person.
Um, okay. It sounds like you already have a reality about, um, or it sounds like a reality, but not so much in your own mind about that. Even if you don't graduate at the top of your class, you're still a good student, and you're still going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is this a pattern? Is this the type of thinking where you're not where you put a lot of pressure on yourself,
Yeah.
and you may think at the end that if you don't reach the certain goal that you have, which is great that you have goals, um, that you may be inadequate. Is that a pattern that
Yeah.
in a lot of other things?
Yeah.
Can you identify some of those things?
Yeah, so like with my academics, if I get a bad grade on a test, I think that I'm not smart enough. Or like in my, I used to play softball, and if I didn't pitch as well in an inning, I thought that I wouldn't pitch very well, throughout the rest of my game. Or with my relationships, like if something doesn't go my way, I think that like, oh, it's just the rest of the night is just gonna suck. So then I isolate myself. So I mean, I just feel like I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I don't know how to relieve some of that pressure so that I feel better about myself.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like you have a lot of pressure on yourself in every aspect
Mm-hmm.
of your life, and even going back to talking about disagreements with people, maybe a lot of pressure to agree or even make yourself heard.
Mm-hmm.
And that can go back to your relationship with your mother as well. Is maybe she didn't hear you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And were you did you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have one brother.
Is he older or younger?
He's younger.
Okay. Um, because I was gonna say if you were a younger sibling, a lot of time it's hard to get yourself heard.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously it didn't matter. You probably having a hard time getting yourself heard no matter what with your mother.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be a lot of pressure, um, with interactions with people, along with, let's say, softball. A lot of pressure to prove yourself, make yourself heard just on paper, or with your actions, make yourself heard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, does this sound right of where this pressure may come from?
Yeah, and that makes total sense actually, because I never felt like my mom was listening to me, so I had to prove myself in other areas of my life. So that makes a lot of sense based on what
Mm-hmm.
you're saying.
Yeah. So maybe with that in mind, um, that you're trying to prove and make yourself heard through your actions. um, that with that in mind, you can, I guess, modify your or alternate your thoughts more positively towards your past and how much your relationship with your mother means to you.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that it means a lot to you?
Yeah.
Even today, right?
Yeah.
Um, and your relationship with your mother now compared to when it was is, can you make a comparison? Let's say, give me a percentage of where it was and where it now is.
Where
Well,
it was probably like 30% maybe, and now it's probably like 70%.
okay. Um, so what kind of changes did you make in order to make that gain?
Um, that's a good question. I I don't know. I feel like I just communicated a little bit better. I kind of tried to incorporate some of the things that we've been working on throughout the session, like being more empathetic or trying to keep myself in the situation even though I want to leave. Um, Trying to reduce my anxiety a little bit if someone doesn't listen to me or someone doesn't agree with what I want them to say.
Perfect. Stop right there. That's just what I was saying about the boulder tech thing,
Mm-hmm.
where you're trying to communicate more, be stronger against this other boulder who's your mother.
Mm-hmm.
So be even stronger than you already are in order to get heard,
Right.
and in order to prove to you that you are worthy of being heard,
Yeah.
and also stepping back and listening, be more empathetic. You just
Mm-hmm.
identified two great things that have obviously led to a gain in your relationship
Mm-hmm.
with her.
Mm-hmm.
Now, could you see that type of thing, that type of strategy with gaining a relationship? Could you see that type of change in academics, where you could, obviously you're very strong-willed, you put a lot of effort in,
Mm-hmm.
um, but just as strong as you go for it, be just as strong as you go for it, be just as strong with perhaps failure. You don't get a goal, you don't, maybe you get a B on a test that you want to get an A on.
Mm-hmm.
Could you see yourself being just as strong, understanding, and empathetic towards yourself? Um, could you see that being a gain
Yeah.
that you could gain
Yeah.
from, I guess,
Definitely.
30-70 from where your mom was?
Right. Definitely.
Good. Um, uh, well, uh, gaining through that, the strength, and I guess we'll call it unstrength as well, where you're stepping back as well as, um, could you see yourself visioning a huge gain with everything? Could you, if you just walk out the door right now and you're going to class,
Mm-hmm.
um, with those strategies in mind of academics and socially and with your mother, and obviously you don't play sports anymore, but with softball, whatever. How does that feel, knowing how strong you are and how, I'll call it unstrong, strong, um, understanding and empathetic, strongly empathetic?
Mm-hmm.
Does that feel better knowing those skills and knowing that you've already accomplished that with your mother?
Yeah, and I think like a huge aspect was unconfidence because like I never felt heard from my mom, and so I always, like I said, I always had to prove myself in other areas of my life, and so I felt like I didn't really have a strong sense of who I was because I was always trying to prove myself because I didn't get the satisfaction from my mom, which is what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And then because I was isolating myself, I never had the chance of really trying to establish a strong relationship with her because I never took the time to actually be in the relationship with her because I always isolated myself. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think that throughout the session, I think I've gained a lot of confidence about who I am and that it's okay that I have these um, strong tendencies to, prove my point or to make people listen to me, but then also stepping back and being more empathetic and trying my best to understand other people's points of view and understand that my point of view is always not going to be the right one, but it's
Mm-hmm.
still important to establish empathy in relationships because that's how you're going to make relationships healthy and work. And because I don't have many friends or because my relationships have largely failed in the past, I feel like that's a huge a huge aspect of why those relationships are failing or why I don't have many friends even.
Yeah, great.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this concludes our session, but for next time, I'm gonna give you a little homework.
Okay.
And what that will be is find yourself in a place where, let's say you get a bad grade or a worse grade that you think so, that you
Mm-hmm.
think, or you have a disagreement with a roommate or something,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't go the way that you want right away, that you still, with how strong you are, still deserve to be heard. And with that comes the empathetic part. And that's where you practice the empathy that I was talking about.
Okay.
So practicing that empathy, that strong empathy, because you don't have to worry about the strength part. That won't leave you.
Right.
That won't leave you, you know.
Right.
Um, does that sound good?
Yeah. Do you want me to write this on a sheet of paper or where do you want me to write this?
Um, yeah, you could journal it.
Okay.
Just write down the situation,
Okay.
um, and what exactly you did to correct the thoughts, and not isolate your mind into thinking that you're not heard,
Okay.
and go from there.
Okay.
Okay,
Great.
great to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.